Well, g'day guys, and welcome to a new video. Something a bit different. I've got a friend here, Brenton. I don't know if I'll post this before or after the other one, but yeah, mate, you're down here in Melbourne.
Yep.
I thought it'd be a good chance to catch up, record a few videos, and as part of that, we thought, you know what, let's sit down and answer a few questions and have a bit of a chat. So I can't say we got hundreds that we had to sift through, but still, you know, for some of you out there, it might be interesting to get out, I guess, a few thoughts on a few things.
They only get what they pay for.
Maybe it's a bit too self-indulgent of us to think we're this cool, but either way, it'd be cool to answer a few questions.
Rightio. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, I've got one for you to start off with.
Yep.
And it's one that I've sort of thought about my answer for over the years as to doing YouTube and
Yep.
why. But it's just that. YouTube, why do you actually do it?
Ben told me to.
Ben told you to?
That's the honest truth.
I guess to set the question up a bit more in terms of, like, you know, the time, the thousands of dollars on equipment and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, time it takes to edit and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Why, of all the ways you could spend your time, why do you make YouTube videos?
It's interesting you say that, because I had probably what I consider to be a little tiny bit of spare time in my life, and I was going to take up one of two things: learning to play the guitar, or doing a bit more with grass, because my trade background is I'm a qualified greenkeeper. I've worked at some very big name golf courses over the years. I'm no longer in the industry, but I still love everything to do with it. And then Ben Sims and I from Lawn Tips, Ben and I are really good mates, and Ben was just starting out with his YouTube adventure way back then. And he wouldn't say pressured me into it, but lent me and encouraged me, I guess, to start my own little journey. And here we are.
But I guess in terms of right now, in terms of why you continue to make videos, do you just love being able to put the information out there? Do you actually really enjoy the process? I guess my answer is that time to time, it annoys me, the time it takes, the extra time it takes, was just a question we got. We'll talk about that in a bit more depth probably a bit later, but the time it takes to actually set up and record, I'm a bit so-so on that. The actual editing I really enjoy. Having it out there in the world is something that I'm like, I could take or leave it. I actually, for me, the best part of the process that I enjoy is actually creating and editing and putting that all together. That's my favorite bit.
It's a good little time. If you can get editing done uninterrupted, it's really therapeutic in a weird way.
It's fun, isn't it? Putting it all together. Yeah, mixing up all the music.
I probably hyper focus on it a bit and watch it a bit too many times and just tweak a little bit too much and probably invest a little bit too much in time into edits. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're putting it out there, and I don't want to put out a substandard production. But yeah.
Well, that's a question we've got then, which was, so there was two parts to this question. We're answering part two first, but how long does it take to film an average 20-minute video, including all takes and attempts, and to fully edit the video to be prepared for upload? How long would you estimate?
For me personally, so 20 minutes is right up my alley, because I prefer that longer sort of content rather than the shorter stuff. So for example, we'll keep it simple. If it took you 15 minutes to mow your lawn, probably take you an hour and a half to mow that same lawn if you're filming it. Would you agree with that?
Oh, is that including the edit and everything like that?
No, if you just wanted to do a good mow and get some good camera angles, that 15-minute lawn mow would probably blow out to about an hour.
Depends if you want to get drones involved and like go nuts with it. But yeah, it is the time probably that you don't think about, of even in advance the night before, making sure everything's charged, clipping on microphones, recording an intro, like all of that stuff together. It will, like for me, if I was just gonna mow, give it a light scarify, just to thin out mid-season and apply some liquid fertilizer, to just do that would probably take me an hour and a half, 470 square meters. Just, you know, no cameras, but easily takes me probably 4 hours, four and a half hours to do a light scarify and a fertilize and a cut. And then editing time, for me, average, my videos are more so in that 12 to 15. And the actual sitting at the computer time is probably 2 hours, I would say, for me at the moment.
I can spend up to 6 and a bit, sometimes a bit more.
Watch his channel, his videos are better than mine.
No, they're not.
He edits longer.
But I do spend a lot of time in edit.
And it's just like, it depends. Sometimes you're really like, the tiniest little thing, by the time you cut some clips and something happens and you've got to drag the files back in. So yeah, it can be, I would say, if I did something to my lawn that might take, say, 2 hours, including editing and everything involved, it's probably become a 2 hour job, probably for me becomes a let's call it 6, 7, 8 hour job.
It's a day
of work.
It's a day. It's a day. For everything all said and done, it's a day.
Yeah. And so the other part of that question was buffalo versus kikuyu. Which do you prefer, and what are the pros and cons for each for the average homeowner? Your answer's neither.
Well, I don't. Well, I've got a bit of sapphire buffalo. I don't have any kikuyu lawn, so this is probably a Nick question.
It depends. It depends what you want. I'm really enjoying my feature garden, having it here, 60 mil, nice tall cut, long and green beside this garden area. For me, spot on. And part of the reason I got this was for content ongoing of being able to show renovating and all that sort of thing. But it just depends what you want. Like kikuyu, a lot of people have got kikuyu just when they move into their place, and you can get it looking just fine. Either one, you know, in terms of pros and cons, you could do whatever, keep your kike looking nice, cut it at whatever you want, 30, 40, 50 mil. I think it's something a lot of people do, is try to cut their lawns too short.
Too short. Yep.
When they are a once a week mower, or they might even miss the odd weekend and it's 2 weeks and they're still trying to cut down at say 20 on their rotary with blunt blades and that sort of thing. So if you can, either one can look really nice, and if you can, sharpen your blades every couple of months or something at least.
Which one would you choose if you had to choose one?
If I was still into mowing, kikuyu.
And I'd pick buffalo.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there you go. So, at the end of the day, the answer is it's subjective.
All right, you wanted to give a controversial answer on this one to Homer 31. Thoughts?
I think it could have been a good product.
Yep.
I think the problem for me personally, and this is just a personal opinion, when it came out, there was some very outlandish and some wild claims about all the things it can and can't do, or all the things it can do. And I guess I didn't buy the advertising. I just didn't like the approach. So I sort of struck it off.
I have a follow-up question. In terms of Homer 31, to be honest, I'm not going to get involved. I don't know. But say if you take Iron Cutter, Homer 31, Tiff Tough, what percentage difference do you reckon? How much, like, are they just wildly different grass types you can't even compare? Or do you think those like showpiece kind of cooch varieties for each of those different companies, how different are they?
Let's call them premium varieties rather than showpieces. Let's call them premium cooch grasses, or Bermuda grasses as they want to be called. I think it's important to have some good competition in the marketplace. There's no point just having one variety out there. It makes no sense. There needs to be some sort of competition. We're seeing Tiff Tough still very strong. We're seeing T31 lose a lot of favour. In fact, I think, personal opinion once again, I think it's getting a little bit hard to find in turf farms. But now we're starting to see the Iron Cutter come online, and it's got a really nice colour about it as well. And I think they're going to also get the drought tick, the watermark for drought tolerance that Tiff Tough's got. But yeah, getting back to the other one, I just left me a bit cold, the advertising and the approach. I just didn't rate it.
So if, say, back to my question, if buffalo and cooch, buffalo and Tiff Tough, say, is 100% different, it's wildly different grass.
Oh, so we're talking about different, okay.
Iron Cutter to Tiff Tough to Homer 31, are they, in your opinion, like 2% different? Like they're so similar, but it's just a few little things? Are they 20% different?
I think they're probably 10%. I think you'll find they're probably at least 10% different between each other for different strengths and different reasons. You know, I think from my early experience with Iron Cutter, for example, it's a much more open and upright cooch variety. Tiff Tough's very dense, very tight. They've all got different colours, and that's the main thing about those grasses. The three grasses have very different shades of green. So it's just a case of pick your favourite colour. Curious on your thoughts about having different types of grasses on one property, i.e. zoysia in the front yard, Tiff Tough in the backyard. Is this practical, or should this kind of thing be left to YouTubers? What do you reckon? I think it's absolutely practical. I mean, what was the Lawn Solutions did a bit of a campaign there a few years ago about business at the front and party out the back. You know, so have a nice, you know, Tiff Tough lawn out the front, and have a you know, a buffalo lawn out the back, or vice versa. I think it's totally, because there might be a situation at the front, you get full west sun, out the back it might be shade, and we all know that when it comes to shade, your number one go-to is going to be a buffalo variety. So it really comes down to this situation. I think especially here in my Melbourne climate is there's places where cool season is completely like my backyard, you could never run cool season all year round because it's just
the most full sun you can possibly get. Whereas when you've got the right shade in the right places and that sort of thing, it's a lot more possible. So, and I know there's a guy in my Facebook group who's got cool season out the front because it's just a bit more of a microclimate, and he's got warm season out the back. So it can definitely be done. You probably do want to be careful of, dragging stolons and clippings and that kind of thing across.
I think that's clutching at straws.
I think it does probably just it makes you feel a bit more comfortable, but you probably don't need to go as extreme as getting a gurney in between every single mow between front and back. If you're just cutting leaf and that sort of thing.
If it's just leaf, and you'd have to be pretty unlucky.
If you just used it for a reno or something, definitely. If you've just renovated your kaiku, then you probably would want to give it a bit of a clean before you go to your buffalo or your cooch. Mowing. Yeah, exactly. You're probably pretty fine with just clipping the top off, but it's definitely possible. Microclimates.
Absolutely. It's horses for courses.
Yeah. Yep. In terms of look and feel, do you prefer cool or warm season grasses?
Good question.
If you were somewhere where you could have rye all year round, would you prefer that over being able to, take a side living in a cooler climate? But would you like to have rye year round all the time?
I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. It's a case of the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, it probably is a bit like
we all get excited. It's like, imagine having that all the time. But then you've got to look at the downsides. Bare spots need to be oversown with more seed. Wear patches, the same story. It's not self-repairing. I think we're looking at it from the colour and the theatrics of it all, but from a practicality point of view, I'm sort of segueing into something that I'm sort of new to, but that would be that new zoysia I've got in at Mum and Dad's there, that Sir Grange. It sort of looks like cool season grass, but it's warm season, and it has rhizomes and stolons, and right at this point in time, that's probably my favourite variety.
Do you know, I actually feel very fortunate to live in this climate of being able to, like, seeing that some of our US friends who, are buried in snow and that sort of thing, and they
proper snow,
So like, I can mow this, not because it needs it, but I can mow this weekly in winter and keep it looking nice, chuck a pigment on there and use some liquid fertilizers, and I feel very fortunate to be in that position. So I think that's really good. And for me, warm season grasses for the self-repairing and all that sort of thing, and just being able to maintain weeds more efficiently with pre-emergence because you're not worried about overseeding stuff.
Shoveling snow off a driveway doesn't excite me.
No, thank you. And the second part of that question, is a cool season lawn sustainable in a city like Melbourne? The answer is yes. You just need a bit more of a microclimate. You probably need a tree or two in the right spot just to give you a bit of protection throughout the main heat of summer. I already talked about my back lawn just before, so you would need a bit more of a microclimate to make it
probably
work.
20, 30 years ago, cool season was far more predominant in this part of the world. But these days now, as people become a bit of aware of, conserving a bit of moisture and all that sort of stuff, it's falling out of favour for these new varieties of turf that are on the market. But in the earlier days here in Melbourne, as far as I'm aware, cool season was absolutely used quite substantially. But but I think it is in pockets. I think it still is. And we were talking about it earlier at the front of your place there. About the possibility of a little patch of something like Kentucky bluegrass. So you pick your horse, you pick your race.
I'm currently in the process of setting up and installing an irrigation system with a design layout by a professional installer. Is it worth adding a tank or product feeder into the irrigation so I can apply my liquid products via the irrigation?
Depends what liquid products we're talking about. If we're talking about herbicides and fungicides, no, you can't apply them that way. If we're talking about seaweeds and we're talking about soil wetters and things like that, absolutely you can. You'd have to make sure that no iron products went through that system, otherwise you're going to spray essentially water that's going to discolour hard surfaces, and we don't really want that. So look, yes you can, yes I do. I have an easy flow system at home, and normally I use it to apply things like humic acids and things like that enjoy being applied and then watered in.
Do you spoon feed, or do you just do one application?
I just turn it down to low, which is like a maintenance setting. And I'll just let it run until it runs out, and then I might go back to it and leave it go a month without it, and then I might go and top it up again. I don't run it religiously full of product all the time.
I think I would do it with maybe wetting agent or something like
wetting
that.
Agent
just throughout
is good.
summer, just consistently getting a little bit. But for me personally, I like to fill up the sprayer, know exactly what I'm doing and when, and control it a bit more. So probably just a bit of
It's a nice luxury. It's not a necessity, it's a nice luxury.
Yeah, I think so. Question for the Q&A, what's your favourite grass type and why? Rapid fire. What do you reckon?
At this point in time, as we just mentioned there, Sir Grange Zoysia, I'm really impressed. As I said, it looks like a cool season grass, stripes up ridiculously well. Looks like cool season, but it's warm season. It has rhizomes and stolons.
Yep.
Probably not suitable for every part of Melbourne or Canberra, anywhere cool like that, but in a hot, warm, maybe north or west facing area, you get away with it. But the window of growth is short.
Yep.
But for me, up in the Hunter Valley, it's doing really well. Brisbane, be no-brainer. Has much lower disease pressures from Zoysia as well, which is a big thing in those humid climates.
Kaiku for me.
Kaiku. You're not gonna dare to dream.
This is an interesting one to finishing on here. So
right.
The thing is, we have never done any of this in 30 years and our buffalo lawn looks the same as in the video, not even fertilised in 30 years. This is obviously not addressed to the Q&A, but anyway, in the middle of summer heat, we just water it down in the evening, that's it. Why do people waste so much time doing this? Mental therapy. This is interesting because I've had this a few times on social media, and other people will see that probably, and you know, who aren't in the lawn care space and think, oh yeah, no, like I don't do those things. I reckon one of the biggest things for people like that is that they like their lawn, obviously.
Yep.
So they probably mow it a bit.
Yep.
They probably do muck around and chuck some fertiliser out, even they might not be doing it 100% correctly, but they probably care enough about that.
They're having a go.
They're watering in some capacity.
Yep.
Their climate is probably really good.
Yep.
They probably live in a climate where they get a nice temperate climate where they get some rain and favourable conditions.
Yep.
They've probably just gotten lucky and had nice natural soil where they live. All of those sort of factors that mean that, and they probably maybe don't notice as much if there's a bit of disease in there. They probably, when it yellows off a bit, they're not as fussed about it or focused on it and that sort of thing. So I think people like that come along every now and again. I don't know about how much in your videos, but they're like, oh, I never do any of this crap and my lawn still looks all right.
It's interesting because for starters, they're obviously interested enough to watch the video. And this is certainly not an attack on this person whatsoever. Things to consider, I guess, would be the fact, yes, you mentioned mental health, that's a big thing. And it's something that you know, there's nothing to be ashamed of at all. Going forward on that, the other thing to keep in mind is I'm sure that this person, and I don't know, it doesn't even have a proper name, it's just a YouTube alias there. I would suspect at some level, at some capacity, at some amount, this person has a hobby or an interest of their own that they would invest a bit of time or money perhaps into that other people might not gel with. But I mean, the benefits are, you know, a nice lawn does increase someone's real estate, does increase the value of the property. It creates a nice green space. It's a cooling area. I mean, it's a proven fact. It's not talked about a lot. Synthetic turf raises temperatures. It's unkind to the environment. It's everything that is, you know, not environmentally friendly whatsoever. It creates a nice space. People enjoy that, and look, if someone wants to invest a bit of time and do all these things, but hey, if this person's lawn is amazing, then great. Yeah,
oh look, I think they come along and yeah, I think just the nature's in their favour and all that kind of thing, but look, good on them. And like you say, like, yeah, even, you know, there's people who pump so many products into their lawn and they're spraying every week or whatever it may be. It's like, you know what, your lawn probably doesn't need that. But if that makes you happy going out every single weekend to spray something and to mow 4 times a week and whatever, it's not sustainable.
Not hurting anybody.
I couldn't do that. But, you know, if that's what you enjoy, whether you enjoy your Kaiku at 20, 25 mil, or you want your Cooch at 6 mil, honestly, whatever, isn't it?
To be fair, I've yet to see a buffalo lawn after 30 years that you wouldn't roll an ankle walking on.
Yeah, it probably needs a top dress.
I'd like to see a photo of this lawn. If he's watching, I'd like you to email a photo. I'd like to see it. There's the challenge.
Next video can be a reno on that lawn.
Let's get the photo.
Oh mate, well that was good fun.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, what do you want to do? You feel like pub meal or Mexican?
Are we going to have a parma or a palmy? Are we going to have scallops or potato cakes?
Oh mate, you know it's a Parmigiana chicken parma.
I think the Reese brothers clip the other day settled the argument. Well, let's wrap it up.
That was a bit of fun.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Do you reckon anyone's still watching? Probably not.
Probably not.
Thanks for watching.
Over and out, guys. See ya.
Catch you the next one.